So there's been something on my mind that I've been wanting to talk about recently, and I figured I might as well let the internet know about it, which could be a bad or a good idea, depending on the outcome. But I feel like some people need to hear this. Lately, there has been a lot of like stigma to like sexual things going on. Specifically, like pornography, book talk, smut books, shit like that. All that other fancy stuff. Um, I don't know where it came from, but I can almost guarantee that it's an outrage that is just completely unnecessary. Why do we, as a collective, need to be so Puritan around the internet? Just think about that for a second. Like, why does the internet need to be policed? Why does it need to be censored? The only people who want to censor the internet are people who don't care about free speech, corporations, and people who are sensitive. Those three groups, I feel like it's been almost impossible to talk about anything you want online, especially topics relating to sex. I'm not even talking like like sexual jokes, sexual depravity, stuff like that. Just actual adult topics relating to the topic of like sex. And I'm going to be completely honest. It feels like everything has become infantilized lately, and it's not just that. Like you can't even talk about death, rape, um, like all these other topics that just make people uncomfortable. You gotta censor yourself. You gotta say like certain words. You can't even talk about suicide anymore without having to censor yourself. And I feel like by doing this, we have effectively, we've effectively like shunned any like real or uncensored communication about these serious topics, which, which honestly, I can't get over that. Like, why do that? These topics need to be talked about. They need to come to light at some point. Life's just not gonna like put up a censor bar every time something like something offends you in real life. Like there's no gonna be a warning when you're in real life, and there's like uh fuck, I'm stumbling over my words here, but what I'm trying to say is if you're out in public and someone's about to cuss, you're not going to get like the game's not going to pause, or life is not going to pause, and they're like, oh, someone's about to cuss soon. Do you want to censor this? That's not going to happen. So why do we feel the need to treat the internet like this? The internet is literally just an extension of real life. Like I'm not even joking. Like people put their lives on here. Like we have actual real discussions about things on here. This it wasn't always like this, and part of the things to blame is the aggressive monetization of everything online. Ever since that happened, like real conversation has just died down. Really, it boils down to what we as a collective tolerate when it comes to censorship, but at the same time, we're also responsible by complying to these guidelines. By censoring ourselves, by saying certain words that don't hurt people, or even though they relate to a certain subject. Like, I'm going to be completely honest, I really hate when people say grape instead of rape. That just ticks me off. Um, Even if you're censoring the word, the topic is still there. It still exists in the word. You call a rose by another name, it's still going to be a rose at the end of the day. The only thing that's changed is how you pronounce it. Um, we got to stop pretending that masking these subjects helps people because it doesn't. If anything, I certainly feel like by doing this, it does more harm than good to certain people. um, Not only that, but the skies of having the internet be a place that's supposed to be a safe place for kids. I feel like it's done more harm than good. It's kind of hypocritical that a lot of these corporations say that, yet they allow some egregious content online. Shout out to ElsaGate for ruining kids' YouTube, But I digress. There's more to that than just Elsagate. Um, there's certainly a lot more examples that are probably better than that one, but it's all I can think of right now. We we really need to understand that we're definitely responsible for this, like the community as a whole. At some point, we just gave in to the advertisers. We gave in to to YouTube, to Facebook, Instagram, all that crap. It's very demoralizing. It's demoralizing to have these platforms treat the majority of their user base like children, which I can understand if the majority of their user bases are children, but online, I feel like adults just have no space to discuss things anymore. It is almost impossible to discuss an adult topic without someone butting in or making it a joke, or you can clearly tell if like a kid somehow snuck their way through like age verification or some crap, and it's getting on my nerves. How am I supposed to, discuss these serious topics online when no one wants to discuss them in real life? Like, I can't blame people for not wanting to discuss them in real life. They can be uncomfortable sometimes, but I feel like online should be an outlet that we can go to anywhere, anytime, and talk about these things. We should be able to talk about, the dark side of life. That's how we cope with things. That's how we cope with things for millions of years. That's why philosophy exists. Truthfully, I can understand I can understand, the corporate reason for censorship, but at the personal level, especially for people who don't want to monetize their YouTube channels or Twitch or whatever the hell. Honestly, I don't know how Twitch works, but you get my point. Sometimes it's just best. It is just best to just speak your mind over a couple of dollars at the end of the day, because an opinion will be more. A raw, unfiltered opinion is worth its weight in gold. I don't care if I disagree with you or you disagree with me. At the end of the day, we all have a voice, and it's kind of meaningless if we all can't voice our opinion without certain aspects of it being censored. That diminishes the value that opinion holds. I feel like a lot of these corporations don't realize that by doing this, they're limiting the amount of content that can be posted on their platform. It's it's definitely it's definitely damaged a lot of things. You can't talk about certain things with people. People have gotten too sensitive. Hell, I've lost a couple friends because they've disagreed with me over this like censorship that's going on online. A lot of people believe it's good, even though it's not. Like, dude, just look at Twitter and like cancellations and shit like that. People will get canceled over saying like crazy things online and like doxed and shit. You can't say certain things. Like, I get it. If you say something wild, like, you kind of deserve that. But if I'm like dropping an F bomb or an S bomb like here and there, like who gives a shit? You know what I'm saying? It's not hurting anyone at the end of the day. It is literally not gonna. It is not gonna make you combust into flames the moment you hear someone say a cuss word, or the moment you hear someone say like a word like like suicide. It's not gonna hurt anyone. Sure, it might trigger a few things, but like a fight or flight sense. But at the end of the day, the word is not gonna hurt anyone, and I'm tired of pretending like it is. The more we allow this type of culture to persist online, the worse things are going to get. So we have to come to a point where we, just find a degree of tolerance for this, or like we just stop putting up with it. I'm gonna rip the band-aid off. We just gotta stop putting up with it. The more we put up with it, the more censored communication is gonna be. The worse it's gonna be. Just look at like just look at like George Orwell's like 1945. There were certain words you can't say in that story, or rather not the story, the setting itself, but the way language is infantilized in 1945 is very reminiscent of what is happening online and in real life today. If this keeps up, certain topics just won't be brought up at all. It'll just be taboo to talk about them, even though they need to be talked about. We need to talk about these negative things. We need to, accept the fact that they exist, accept the fact that it's a part of life. You can't have the good without the bad. And the reason I said it hurts people earlier by just, like infantilizing it is that it kind of makes their situation not serious when you don't take it as seriously, or monetization is more important than the event, the tragic event they went through. It's very, very dehumanizing. And I don't see how we can continue to put up with this for the long term. Anyways, that's all I wanted to say.